One of the things I really enjoy doing when I'm out in the woods is cooking. Maybe it's because you have to account for and overcome all the variables. Or maybe it's simply because food cooked in the woods always seems to taste better than it does when cooked at home. One style or method of cooking that's more challenging than most is baking. One item I like to do a lot of my baking with is this, my reflector oven. Works great, but of course it requires you to have an open fire. And during the summertime, at least here in Nova Scotia, the fire ban is on more than it is off. So what's the alternative? Well, I have something I want to share with you. This is the Hikah, a purpose-built oven made specifically for use in the woods, and it doesn't require an open fire. If you're interested, keep watching. Now, before we get started, I do want to thank Eric for sending out one of the pre-production versions of the Hikah oven so that I could share it with you. So my plan is to do an initial demonstration of the Hikah here at home. In fact, we're going to be using it out in my backyard. But I'm going to be using it over the summer out in the woods and car camping to bake any number of things. Maybe we'll start with some muffins, a pie, a pot roast, anything you can bake in an oven at home. I'm going to give it a try using this oven. But for the demonstration here at home, I think I'll bake a cake. Sounds easy enough, right? But what I want to start out by doing is focusing in on the oven, showing you all the items that come with it, some of the options and things that you can do with this oven. We'll get outside and bake that cake, and then we'll wrap this video up. We're going to start with an overview of the oven itself, what all is involved, what all you get with the oven, and how it is intended to be operated. A couple of these items may be accessories that you'll have to purchase separately from the basics. All the specifications will be in the video description for your reference, but of course I'll give you a few of those now. To start with, this is the oven assembled and ready for use. So what do you get inside of this? To start with, on top this is a carbon steel plate that can be used for a couple of things. It can be used for baking directly on, specifically pizzas will work well on this. And yes, you can season this if you want to cook other things and create a non-stick surface. Inside of here, I have this combination. This is both a baking dish and a fry pan, and that is not Teflon. It's actually a ceramic surface on the inside that is non-stick. You do get a set of pot grabbers for use on moving this back and forth. Now, inside of here is the internals of the oven itself. This is the dish that you'll put all of whatever it is you're baking, be it with the pan or with the plate itself inside. There's a spacer. It's kind of like a plate or a bowl, low bowl, if you will. You can cook directly on top of this as a grill. So if you have something that you want a little bit of the fat and grease to drop through, you can use that as a grill inside, but it also acts as a spacer for, as I mentioned, for the pot inside. Down inside of here, this is the spacer that holds everything off the bottom. You can see it's already darkened because I have been using it quite a bit. So this spacer actually is suspended in the base, and that's where it keeps it off of the bottom, as I mentioned. And here's what makes this unique. Wide open base on the bottom. So what happens is you're going to place this over a butane gas canister stove or remote gas canister stove, not one that sits on top of a canister. We'll explain why in a minute. And the heat is going to rise through that hole. It's going to hit this plate. It's going to be dispersed around the plate and up through the oven. And when the lid is on, there's just enough of a gap under here that the heat will rise and move with convection all through the oven, and excess heat will be vented out of the bottom. Simple, simple design. Now, I want to address this right off of the top because somebody's going to say that looks an awful lot like the Omnia oven. And superficially, I can see how you might think that because an Omnia oven is like this, circular in nature with a lid. But the Omnia oven, of course, has the chimney that rises out of the center. So the heat moves up and then over the top and down, not around the outsides like this. Now, the advantage that this oven has specifically over the Omnia is that you can use any regular bowl or plate that will fit inside. You don't have to have something that fits around that chimney. That's one of the handicaps, in my opinion, of the Omnia oven. Not to say it doesn't do a good job, it's just limited in what you can put inside to cook with. So you're not limited to using either this, I'm calling it a bowl or pan or fry pan or whatever you want, or this plate. You can put anything inside that will fit. In fact, one of the things that I found will fit inside of this, and I will be trying out, is a pizza stone. I actually have an maybe 8 or 9 inch pizza stone that will sit down inside. I haven't tried that yet, so it'll be one of the things I'll be experimenting with when I get to using this in the out of doors. Now, I just want to set up a gas canister stove, and I'll show you how this was set up on top of it, and then we'll break away after that in order to do the basic baking of a cake. All right, for this demonstration, and likely for when I get outside and do bake that cake, I've chosen to use this gas canister stove. This is made by Boulin, and the reason I chose this one is its basic wide diameter and size. It's very wide, very stable, and it's going to work well with the Hikah oven, as you can see, that wide open bottom. Now, that should be obvious why you want to use remote gas canister stove. One, most of the canister top stoves aren't big enough to span that hole and make it a little wider. Plus, this would end up being top heavy and therefore a little bit on the dangerous side. So you want to make sure you use a nice wide based remote gas canister stove similar to this one. It doesn't have to be this one at all. So that's what I'm going to be using when I get outside. So the basic concept is that I'll have this set up on the stove. I'll start it running with the lid on to start getting some heat built up inside. In the meanwhile, I'll mix up my cake batter, put it into this bowl, and when it's ready to add to the oven, then I'll just lift the top off, drop it in, close the oven over, and start watching it. Now, you're going to notice that right here is a small vent hole, if you will. It's a vent hole for steam, for sure, but it's also a hole that you can put a thermometer inside to reach down and see what the internal temperature of the oven is. Now, I have a couple of thermometers. I'll show you the one I will be using when I get outside. I have both an analog one with a hand on it, and I also have a digital one that'll work inside. In fact, from Eric, one of the hints that he gave me is if you are going to do a roast, which one of the things I plan on doing, is that you can actually push it right into the meat while it sits inside of the oven. That way you can get an internal temperature of the meat, which is precisely what you want to do, so you'll know that it's cooked. Because if at all possible, you want to avoid taking off the lid any more than is necessary, because you will lose heat that way. Okay, that's basically the setup of the stove. As I mentioned, all the weights, the diameters, and everything else will be in the video description. But let's get outside now and bake a cake. All right, obviously I'm working in my backyard on my stove testing table, and I'm in the full sun, so things are heating up really fast here. So we're going to get things started. In addition, beautiful day, but boy, is it ever windy. So I have a wooden windscreen I'm going to be assembling around this after we get things started. But I can tell by my thermometer that we're already way up over the recommended temperature for this cake. I'll show you the cake mix in a second. Let's see if I can adjust it back a little bit. This may be the hardest part about using this oven, is getting the heat to just the right temperature where you want it. I'm going to lose a little bit now that I opened it up. There's my cake mix going in. Put the oven top back on. I saved a little time by putting it all together ahead of time just to... What we got going? Oh, a little bit of... Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you'll hear the metal flex inside from the heat, so don't be too concerned about that. Simple recipe right here. Betty Crocker. I couldn't get any cheaper, any easier. Mixing directions on the back. It says a 350 degree oven, or 325 degree oven if you're using a non-stick pan, which I am doing. And it should take, well, let's see, what does it say? 20 minutes? It's not going to take 20 minutes here, I'm for sure. Actually, I'm going to have to keep a close eye on this to make sure it doesn't burn. But when I'm close to where I think we're ready, I'll bring you back. All right, I've been checking this on and off for the last couple of minutes, and it's only been 15 minutes. But honestly, I don't think I want to let it go any longer than that. I can see considerable browning around the outside. My toothpicks are, well, let's just do another check. My toothpicks, yeah, okay, they're dry. I'm going to call that dry, ready to go. I'm just hoping that I haven't overdone it, because it was hard to control the temperature here today. So I'm going to pick this up and lay it down. turn the stove off altogether. Now, I'm going to have to give that about 10, 15 minutes to cool off enough before I can drop it onto a cooling rack. And then we'll cut the cake open and see what it looks like on the inside. All right, it's been about 15 minutes since I took it off of the stove. It's been sitting on this cooling rack. I'm still quite hot, actually. And I got to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about how this is going to turn out. I can see some browning around the outside. As I mentioned, it was a bit of a challenge controlling the heat. By the way, that's one half of this cake recipe. So the other half I still have to cook. I'm going to use a little spatula to go around the outside, make sure it's free. I don't think it's stuck to it anyway. No, it's not stuck. It's not stuck on the sides. I followed the directions. I oiled the pan. It is a ceramic pan. It should not stick, but I think out of an abundance of caution, if I was to do it again, I would probably put a piece of parchment in the bottom, and that would be the best way of ensuring it's not going to. Now, see if I can coordinate myself to do this properly. Am I going to be able to handle that? No, I'm going to have to use gloves. Mitts. I hate wearing oven mitts. They're always too small for me. Let's just hope I don't embarrass myself and drop this. Can I do this? So far, so good. And the cake pop. Ooh, a little bit dark on the bottom. Now let's flip it back onto a pan or a plate. That I should be able to do without gloves. Yeah, all right. Oh, okay. I don't know, folks. I don't know. Like I said, this is always a challenge when you're making a cake over an outdoor oven, especially your very first time doing it. Let's get a knife to see what we have. And hopefully I didn't ruin the cake. It looks a little darker on the outside. Oh, sorry for the noise. Looks a little darker around the outside and on the bottom, but let's see what happens when I cut it. You know what? I don't think that's going to be dark on the inside. Looking pretty moist. Oh, yeah. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Yep, a little dark on the bottom, so we would have to cut the bottom off or just eat down to the bottom. But the cake looks pretty good. What do you think? All right, this is how you learn. You learn from experience. What I would do again next time to make it a little easier on myself. That's why you buy inexpensive cake mixes like this, so you can practice with it. Okay, the cake I'm going to call a success, despite that I'm not personally happy with how dark it got on the bottom. Still, it's not ruined, it's still edible. Okay, let's wrap this video up. All right, a few closing thoughts on my first cake baked in the Hikah oven. You know, I've done some other baking with this. I did some tea biscuits. I did actually just some cookies. We did a little pizza with it, just out of experience, but I'm not a cake eater, especially store-bought cakes like this, so that's the reason I held off doing the cake. However, Eric suggested I do a cake because it's one of the things to show people just how easy it is. And absolutely, you just mix it up, pour it in the pan, put it on the oven, and wait the time out, test it for doneness, take it off, and take it out of the pan. It's easy to do, but it's also easy to mess up. As you can see, it got a little hotter than I would have liked to have. I'm not calling it ruined. In fact, even that dark on the bottom is soft. It's not like it's carbonized. It looks darker than it actually is. How about really browned? Maybe that's the way to look at it. As you can see, it looks pretty tasty, smells good, even though it's not the type of thing I would like to eat myself. Okay, as I mentioned, what I'm going to be doing over the course of the summer and into the fall is a lot of outdoor cooking with this. It's not truly a backpacking oven, but I'll take it a short distance into the woods because I want to use it over a wood fire. I haven't mentioned that before. I want to use it over charcoal. We'll be using it, Gina and I, when we go car camping for all our baking that we normally do with one of the other ovens that we take. I think this is what we're going to take this time. I just want to try different things and bring it to you to maybe give you some of the, not secrets, we'll call it lessons learned, because I expect I'll have a few fails until I get better at doing it. But it's a very easy device to use. It has a bit of weight, so backpacking, maybe not, unless you are going a short distance like I will be with it. But for base camp cooking, Yeah, absolutely perfect for doing that with. Okay, if you have any comments or questions about the Hikah oven, then please put those in the comments section. I'll put the links to where you can take another look at it in the video description, as well as all the specifications for it. And until next time, get out and explore and take that path less traveled, because it will make all the difference. Bye for now.